Hello. How's it going, people? Welcome to the stream. Welcome. Hope everyone's had a fantastic week, fantastic Friday, and is doing fantastically well. But today, I'm not gonna lie, today is a bit of a weird one. Today is a very weird day to be an Arsenal fan because obviously Spurs are having their parade and everything in North London at the moment, or was it, or happening? I don't care, it's Spurs. But some random news are flying all over the place, some a bit more confirmed than others, but Jason Ayto is leaving. We're gonna talk about that. Arsenal are in actual concrete talks with a new striker, and it is Benjamin Šeško from RB Leipzig. Arsenal are still in with Rodrygo, some other players, of course, and some other players might be leaving and all this stuff. We're gonna talk about everything. So, if you haven't already, smash the like button, subscribe if you're new around here, and to be honest, I don't want to drag this too long than this has to be. Let's get straight into business. And business is gonna kick things off with this. Jason Ayto. Hey, one of the prime candidates who made it to top 4 to be Arsenal's sporting director. Remember the guy? Worked together with Edu, aka Edu's notepad as well, he's known like that. But apparently he is leaving the club ahead of summer window. That is actually quite interesting if you ask me. Ayto will leave the club in due course with the new team with the news announced to staff internally on Friday afternoon. Which is, I'm not gonna lie, it's a bit of a shock to some extent. I'm not gonna lie, because I kind of thought that he would stay with us. At the same time, good riddance. Out with the old, in with the new, and all this stuff. Edu left, now Ayto has left, Andrea Berta is in. Arguably, one thing we need to get rid of still is Mikel Arteta. You could argue we need to get rid of course, from Kroenkes as well, but let's be real, that's not gonna happen. So the next best thing is Mikel Arteta. So we are quite close to this happening, because most of the people who were the closest with Arteta in terms of transfers, in terms of talks and everything, are leaving. Edu has left, now Ayto has left. Arteta is losing his mind in every single press conference, by the way, he's talking. If we have enough time, by the way, we're gonna look at that press conference he did before the Sunday game against Southampton. If not, we're gonna do it tomorrow, because then it's gonna be the preview and all this stuff. Depends, basically depends on the time, of course. But Jason Ayto is leaving Arsenal, which is actually quite, I'm not gonna lie, to some extent I'm kind of feel relieved, because Andrea Berta is top guy, top at his job, top everything, and he needs guys who are top around him. And let's be real, Ayto was not it. Let's be real, was not it. I don't know how Ayto made it to top 4 into this sporting director situation, where he was basically up against as well, also against Berta when he got signed, but somehow he made it. But now, 3-4 months later, he's gone. Sayonara, peace out, and we're never gonna see you again, most likely. So that is quite interesting, quite weird if you ask me. But hey, as I said, out with the old, in with the new, more experience, more cutthroat business. Let's see where this leads us. Genuinely, let's see where this leads us. Now, before we get into other news, one thing I want to check. Today is Serie A final, because the team who wins, either Inter Milan or Napoli, they gonna win the Scudetto, the Serie A. Currently, it's 0-0 in both games. 12 minutes in, Inter have put out some weird starting 11, I'm not gonna lie. England 17s are 1-1 against, against Italy. What are the starting lineups? Any Arsenal players in this? Porter is in goal, he already has conceded, so that's a good start. And of course, Max Baumann is playing as a striker, weirdly, but he's definitely not playing as a striker. On the bench, no other Arsenal players, sadly, but it is what it is. At the end of the day, Max Baumann, let's see how he does on international level. We're gonna follow this as well whilst we are on stream. While this is happening, the game is half hour in. We obviously, as an Arsenal fan, that really interests me. Let's just put it that way. But Inter versus Como away, which is not the best place to go if you're Inter. And of course, Napoli at home playing Cagliari. Napoli have put out very strong 11, right? Your usual suspects. Inter's 11 is a bit weird. Taremi, Correa, Zelevski, Di Marco, Assalini, Kalhanoglu, Darmian, Bisek, De Vrij, Carlos, Augusto, and Jan Sommer. The Champions League game is in a week, so it's kind of weird, I'm not gonna lie. But it is what it is. Anyways, back to Arsenal news and more matters at hand. Let's be real, because we're gonna talk about Arsenal and all this stuff. So, first things first, what we're gonna tackle here. Not gonna talk about Sesko, we're gonna go from the oldest to the newest, basically. We're gonna talk about that. Here is a story on football transfers, by the way. This is a story from football transfers about Jakub Kiwior, right? It's all fine and dandy until you get to this part. Sorry. It's bugging out a bit. Cancel. Here we go. Until you get to this part. Although the 25-year-old has been linked with the move away from the Emirates Stadium, Arsenal have made their stance on the player crystal clear by putting an asking price of 60 million pounds for the head of the player. 60 million for Kiwior, you know. Arsenal are asking 60 million for Kiwior. Big Kiwi, yeah. Napoli don't F this up. Well, to be honest, Napoli are at home. They have put out arguably their best 11. I'm not gonna lie. No, partially their best 11. Because look, it's Rahmani, Oliveira, Spinazzola, Di Lorenzo, Anguissa, Gilmour, McTominay, Raspadori, Lukaku, Politano, and Meret in goal. It looks like a very strong 11, I'm not gonna lie. Bench also looks very good. They have Neres coming on, Billing, of course. Lobotka, obviously, he's fantastic. Okafor can come on, Simeone. So they have players to bring on off the bench. So they look like they could have this in the bag. Let's be real, playing at home against Cagliari, much better than going away to Como to play against Inter Milan, for Inter Milan. And as I said, if you weren't here, Marlon, look at the Inter starting 11 for this game. Look at the starting 11 for Inter Milan. Their Champions League game is in a week, you know, and they have put out basically like a B team or C team. Look, Acerbi on the bench, Arnautovic, Barella, Bastoni, Dumfries, Fratesi, Martinez, Mkhitaryan, Thuram, everyone is on the bench. Every best player they have available is on the bench, interestingly enough. Which is weird, I'm not gonna lie, especially since they're going for the title. Not sure why, how and when, but hey, it is what it is in that regard. Anyways, moving on, Kiwior, yes, 60 million pound price tag. That is actually kind of nuts. I was held up coming home because of that so bit small parade. It's outrageous on a Friday afternoon, Muppets. Dude, it is what it is, I guess. You have to deal with it. I don't know. It's actually kind of insane. Still cannot believe Spurs have won something before Arsenal. 60 million asking price to keep the Wolves that day. Pretty much, you could say that. You could definitely say that. There's no argument that Kiwior had very decent start at very decent games at Arsenal. When obviously Gabriel got injured, he was playing on all this stuff. So it's not a bad option. It's not a bad thing. Let's be real. At the same time, 60 million. I'm not talking about the Kiwior, the performance in general, but just the same fact. Kiwior for 60 million seems very nuts to me, personally. Let's be real. I'm just gonna put it that way. So they're resting everyone, and pretty much that is the weird part, because Champions League final is in a week. Next Saturday, basically. So why they are resting the players? Because this is the last game of the season for them, unless they don't want to get injuries to anyone, pretty much. It's a very weird thing. But it's because they easily could... Yeah, big up Boyton, by the way. I get that. Not weird to rest everyone. I get it, but there is still a possibility they can win the league. And there are random rumors circulating in Italy that if Inzaghi doesn't win the league, he could get sacked. So why you are not going with the best 11? It's just that type of thing, basically. Yeah, he blocked Mbappe, scored against Crystal Palace, a fantastic header, no argument about that. Como is managed by Sesko Fabregas, who is Serie A Manager of the Month. Big up Sesko as well. He's doing a very good. He has some part of the stakes together with Thierry Henry. In Como, he's managing Como. He doesn't want to leave Como, at least for now. He got them promoted into Serie A. Now they're going to finish mid-table in Serie A. Fantastic 2 years for Como and Sesko Fabregas, let's be real. And they're looking to sign some big players also in this summer window, by the way. The most serious managers leave nothing to chance for the trophies they are going for. That for me is the biggest question. Because, as I said, it's weird because, see, this 11, and if you look at the bench, when you have all the starting 11 players on the bench, if you look at the league, right, if Napoli get a draw and Inter win, right, Inter win the league. If Napoli lose and Inter win the league. Only way Inter cannot win the league is if Napoli win. That is the biggest thing for me. That's why I'm so confused why he is not going for it. You get it, because if it was Mikel Arteta and he was 1 point or 2 points behind Liverpool, Man City, and he had Champions League next week, we would be cussing him out for not playing the best 11 to some extent. So it's a weird thing, I'm not gonna lie, it's a very weird thing. Italy's under 17 has scored, De Pauli has scored. Not looking good, is it? Not looking good. Porter has conceded 2 goals. Guys. Max Daumann by stats is having a decent game by the looks of things. He has 7.8 rating, right? But ultimately, not looking too good in it. Gomez from Lyon. Not looking too good for Porter. That's the next future goalkeeper of Arsenal, maybe. We're gonna look at these games, don't worry, we're gonna look at this stuff. We're definitely gonna look at this stuff as we go along. But yeah, let's move swiftly on. Here we go. This is the thing I want to talk about. Exclusive from Pleti. And let me know your thoughts on this one. Arsenal now are in concrete talks with RB Leipzig regarding Benjamin Šeško. Marcel Schaefer and Andrea Berta are in contact, while Arsenal are also monitoring other strikers such as Viktor Gyökeres. Their pursuit of Sesko is serious. Arteta is a big admirer of the 21-year-old forward from RB Leipzig. His release clauses for the summer stands at 18 million pounds, which is about 17 million pounds. Deal on. Godzagi is a genius, he ain't like that. True. Big up, Harry. Big up. Hope you're doing well today. Fucking hell, it's hella damn hot. How you doing? When is the time for Arsenal Women's Champions League final, and how you're going to watch? It's tomorrow. It is tomorrow. I know it's tomorrow. Wait. It is tomorrow at 5 p.m. 5 p.m. UK time. I'm gonna watch it on TV because I get the game on TV. So I don't know how you are gonna watch it. I know, yeah, Inter, I guess, care more about Champions League, but that kind of doesn't go hand in hand with the fact that there are numerous reports coming out of Italy, right? That they could sack Inzaghi if he doesn't win the Serie A, which is very weird. I guess if he wins Champions League, maybe his job could be saved. At the same time, Big up AFC always. Hope you're doing well. Clown Feta out. Sesko scored 13 goals this season, takes 20 shots per game. Don't want him anywhere near my club. I get it. You know what's weird for me with this, right? Reason Arsenal didn't sign Sesko last year was because they told him he will be a backup for Havertz. And now all of a sudden, they want him as the #1 guy, allegedly. It's like it's not adding up together. Like, you know, 1 year, other year, and everything. It's not adding up, which for me is very, very weird. But yeah, for me personally, Gyökeres edges it for me to some extent, solely because he's a goal scoring now. However, I can see a strong argument why Sesko would be better for the specific system we play currently under Mikel Arteta. If we resolve to crosses, Sesko scores goals with headers quite a bit compared to Gyökeres, because Gyökeres don't score headers too much. Let's be real. So Sesko in that regard would be good. Otherwise, I'm not so sure. It's like, I would say I'm 60 to 70% I want Gyökeres, 30-35 I want Sesko. I can see reasons why we can want each other. Sesko is more for the future, Gyökeres is more for now. In an ideal scenario, we should sign both. In ideal scenario, Gyökeres is number one right now. Sesko is the understudy, develops, and over time he can take his place if we're lucky and he develops as we are planning that. Otherwise, these men would never be scouts. Mora from Porto Academy baller. Yep, he is. The teacher should let him cook and let him cook. Baby Samo has 19 goals. Yeah, Samo Marodion. Balling out at Porto. Absolute baller. Love the guy. No Diddy and all that stuff, of course. Big Sesko, Mr. Outside the Box. Yeah, we need some goals from outside the box. I'm not so sure even that's the case we are talking about. We need Sesko in the box. Sesko would score more incredible goals. I hope so. That is the only hope. Like, until we sign Sesko and we see him on the pitch, this is all copium and hopium to the maximum extent. Because personally, I want Gyökeres. I'm not so happy that we are signing Sesko. No, that we are not signing him. No, that sounds very wrong because I'm confirming we are signing. We are not signing him yet. There are concrete talks about him. Obviously, at the same time, Arsenal are still keeping tabs on Gyökeres. I would assume someone else. But yeah, it's very, very weird. I'm not gonna lie. It's very, very weird. Goals that people will be telling their grandkids about. The only goals I'll be telling the grandkids about are 2 free kicks for Declan Rice against Real Madrid and the ones we gonna win titles with. Other goals, nice moment in a memory, randomly. It's also a chance for fringe players in the Inter squad to push for a spot in Champions League. Potentially, yeah. Inter should win. It's Napoli who have shown how nervous they are in the last few games. True, at the same time, Napoli needs a win no matter what, and that's the guarantee for them to win the league. The issue is that Inter cannot afford to slip up, because even a draw doesn't work for them in that regard. Sesko clears many of these world-class strikers. Okay, if you think that he is better than Haaland, Lewandowski, to some extent Lautaro Martinez, Harry Kane and these guys, okay. Big up Andrew, big up. It's his height and age. Yeah, most likely. It's the potential for the future and the fact that he's 6'5". Let's just say it that way. But how they're going to for him, Sesko, when he costs more than Gyökeres, I want Gyökeres, it's a no-brainer. For me as well. Since Gyökeres costs less, actually, than Sesko, I totally get it. Sesko is more for the future. However, the hope is that he could become our... What's its face? Isak, right? He could become our Isak because Isak's goal-scoring tally at Real Sociedad also wasn't the best. And on the other side, we could get him for a bit cheaper deal as well, for the sake of the fact that RB Leipzig finished 7th or 8th in Bundesliga. They don't have Champions League, Europa League, or even Conference League, and they need money quite heavily. Which means that some of their best players, they will have to let them go. Javi Simmons, in this, Lukeba potentially. Of course, in this includes Benjamin Šeško and other players, I think. I mean, I don't think we're gonna sign both as well, because for us to sign both, we need to sell Jesus and get rid of Havertz, arguably as well. But as I said before, it's a weird thing because Arsenal said you're gonna be a backup dancer to Havertz this season, hence why Sesko didn't sign last summer. Now all of a sudden the roles have switched. It's very weird. Big up Views on Sport, big up Fraud. He's the fraud, not me, I'm not gonna lie. Big up. Go subscribe to the guy. Top lad, top content, not a top gooner, so that's always a plus. And all this stuff, so yeah. Mr. Outside the Blocks. No way I want Sesko over Gyökeres, can't believe it. Well, we are moving in that direction, let's just put it that way. We are moving in that direction. We'll see how that goes. Yeah, smash the likes, people. If you haven't already, smash the likes. Takes a second, helps the stream, algorithm and all this stuff. And of course also subscribe if you're new around here. Roll to 1k and of course 600 to begin with is on and on and on. Sesko goes in now. He's ahead of Havertz and Merino. Yeah, there's no argument about that. The question is why last summer that wasn't the case. Only because Havertz had the purple patch towards the end part of the last season, for the second part of the last season. That's why they said that. That for me just doesn't add up, if you get what I mean. Liverpool are still United. Liverpool or still United get Gyökeres, and I hope still get him. By the way, just putting it out there. Since we are signing Sesko, right? You know who are Liverpool signing while we are going for Sesko? They're signing Florian Wirtz. Just saying. Let's not forget that Osimhen is still... Osimhen most likely is gonna go to Saudi by the looks of things. Osimhen wants 300,000 a week net. Not gross, net salary, which means Arsenal will have to pay him about 450. And we are never going to do that whatsoever. Big up, why not? Big up. I'm doing good. I'm doing really, really good, besides the dumbass cough, which I cannot get rid of. Hope you're doing well today as well. Spurs still celebrating right now, man. These damn punks are... Yep. But that's their right. They won. They won the trophy. They won in Europe. They won Europa League. They have 3 European trophies. Arsenal have 1. Take that into consideration. Big up views. Big up Boyton. They are having the debates we are having in the scouting room right now. Basically. Definitely. 100%. The big question also to this comes, this transfer window, I don't want to say it's going to be the final judgment, but it will give big indications who has the actual power. Because if we sign certain players that which Arteta wants, and Berta by the looks of it wouldn't want, because we're going to see that a lot, I would assume this transfer window, it will still show that Arteta has most of the power. Then the big question comes, why the F did we sign Berta for? Maybe it's because of the deals and connections, just so we can get certain players, I don't know. Or as well, Berta signing kinda is also a preparation for the life after Mikel Arteta leaves. Might also be that. All I know about Sesko is that he's got it. Get some start. He has some unique qualities, yeah, I cannot deny that. As much as I watch Bundesliga, RB Leipzig and everything, Sesko has something unique about him. Basically, you cannot put a finger on it, but he has some sort of an X factor. Now, the issue about that is, despite everything, he's still young and raw. You can see that he still has tunnel vision, for example, when he plays. He doesn't have the greatest of passing. Yes, he can finish with both feet. He can score headers, which is great. He's very fast. He's ultimately, if he can improve on his finishing, be much more consistent, improve his passing, he could be very fantastic striker for Arsenal. I'm not saying he's the best thing since sliced bread. I'm not saying I want him now, but if that comes to tuition, I can see the thought behind it. But that will not change the fact that I want Gyökeres right now. Still. Como 1, Inter Milan 0. Whoa! Inter have scored, which means if it stays like that, they are winning the league. Who scored? Taremi? Taremi scored. De Vries scored. The center back scored. Probably a corner. Or something like that. But, ooh, Inter are winning. All the pressure on Napoli right now. Because if it stays like this, Inter are winning the league. I'm unimpressed by Sesko. A wet fart. I get that. I totally get that. There will be lots and lots of arguments, angry videos, positive videos on the social media if this deal goes through. And I want Gyökeres. You all know that, right? I can see why Arsenal would sign Sesko, but for me the biggest question about no matter who we sign is he a win now, do it now type of player? Because if we sign Sesko, let's just say phase 3, right? The year we sign Jesus, for example, I would have no problem with that. Because that would give him time to adjust, score, feel himself into the league, team and all this stuff. I wouldn't be against that. But in the current situation where we are as a win now team, it's either at the moment we are winning or we again lose our window of chance to win anything. It's gonna do more harm than good to some extent, because we'll have to deal with Sesko until again that window opens. And then it can go either way. There won't be as much acceptance, let's just put it that way, towards certain signings. Especially in certain situations. Big up Anjo, big up. Money was never a problem at Arsenal, exactly. If the board wanted it, we would have signed Isak and 5 other players that we want to sign. Yeah, that is the biggest thing. Money has never been an issue. People want to relate to PSR, FFP, I don't know, their grandma stole their pocket change or something like that. We have never got any money, but we do. We actually do have the money. We just don't spend it the way it should be spent. Because you cannot tell me that for those 750 million we have spent up to this window, right? About 350 to 400 has been wasted on subpar signings. Signings that are mediocre at best to our level on the team we need to build. So that just genuinely means we could have signed some players. Because Calafiori and Merino's price alone is Gyökeres release clauses last year, for example. So there are lots of these things going into it, and it's really, really annoying that we haven't gotten it done and over the line. Heard that young French Serback in our academy is getting promoted next season with Daumen. I heard something about that. I forgot his name, but I heard something about that. Yeah. Sell Havertz. Couldn't agree more. Genuinely couldn't agree more. Go on, Berta. Sell that Havertz abomination of footballer. Please. Dude, I'm not gonna lie, that discussion on Deluded Gunner stream about Havertz was... I get the point from where he's coming from, but it was jokes, like seeing both sides of the argument, that big part wants him out, other part wants them to stay, one part wants to justify it, and they look at it from one perspective, and they look from the other perspective that want them out. Basically, at the end of the day, it's a point where you have to agree to disagree, no matter how you look at it, because there's always be some supporters that want him here. But ultimately, it was actually kind of nuts. Havertz, like, dude, Marlon would genuinely has Havertz pictures on his walls, it feels like. Sell him. Hey yo, I would rather play Kiwior up front than Havertz. To be honest, we have played two number 6 and number 8 up front, and it has worked. Sesko or Gyökeres, I need is a striker that can score a goal and... Exactly. Ultimately, at the end of the day, we need to score goals that we are lacking. In an ideal scenario, last summer, we would have signed Ivan Toney. Ultimately, I was a big fan of Ivan Toney. I wanted him to sign for Arsenal so badly that it was actually kind of insane. And now if you look at it, by the way, if you look at Ivan Toney, right, his stats, basically just this season, I know it just shows that everything. He also with Al Ahly won the Asia Champions League, or whatever you call it, right? But look at his stats. Look at Ivan Toney's stats. 43 games, 29 goals, 5 assists. Saudi Pro League, 29 games, 22 goals, 4 assists. Kings Cup, 1 goal in 1 game. And in a Champions League Elite, 6 goals, 1 assist in 13 games. And when we were linked with him, I was super excited. He was available for 40-50 million, and we didn't sign him. That's what was the most frustrating part of everything. Was it last summer? I think it was last summer, right? Because it's been so long, I already don't remember. But I really wanted at the time to sign him. It's actually kind of painful that we didn't, to some extent. I'm not gonna lie. Oh yeah, I'm not getting into that. Serious move by Liverpool. Yeah, big up Colonel as well. Serious move by Liverpool. They just won the league and they are going for Florian Wirtz. They already have signed Frimpong, by the way. They look like they could sign Kerkez Milos as well for the left back spot. And they're looking, I think, potentially Barcelona could be getting Luis Diaz, and they could go for someone else. Al Hilal, Osimhen and Bruno Fernandes looks like it. Yeah, it could be. I saw the links today as well. There are some questionable links, but there are definitely some stronger links that Osimhen could go to Al Hilal. Same goes for Bruno Fernandes. If Osimhen wants 300k net salary, that would pay him... Yeah, we would need to pay him about 550, 500 gross, based on the taxes in UK. And that is just stupid. The biggest thing about Saudi is that they have tax-free. There's no taxes. So if he wants 300 net salary, they pay him that, he's good. There's no other expenses for the team. Hope you're doing well. I'm doing well. I'm genuinely doing well. Hope you're having fantastic Friday as well, and hope you have a fantastic weekend. Big up Pepper. Hope you're doing well today, my bro. Arteta is getting 2 more seasons. I'm not even gonna think about it anymore. 2 more. You don't think that if shit hits the fan, let's just say it's by Christmas time this year, we are 3rd and about 10-15 points behind the 1st place. You don't think he's gonna get sacked? Think they're gonna ride the wave still? Sesko over Lukaku for... Let me say that's like Retegi. Oh, you are so blind. Sesko is not a win now or ever. That's the biggest thing. In my opinion, we need a win now, and Gyökeres is a win now type of goal scorer. The thing is, Sesko is more versatile. As weird as it sounds, Sesko is a bit more versatile in his finishing compared to Gyökeres. That's kind of nuts thing to say, but it actually is like that. And, if Liverpool adds Gyökeres, yeah, if Liverpool get Gyökeres on top of Wirtz, Frimpong, and potentially Kerkez, Liverpool will gonna win the league next year as well. Their ambition now is maybe not even the league anymore. Of course they want to repeat it, but they're gonna focus on Champions League a bit more, I think. I agree with Boydson. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I'm well too. No worries. Thank you for being here. Thank you for chatting. Big up to you. I can't see Arteta being sacked even if we collapse next season. And that is the saddest. That's the sad part. That is the sad part over everything. Because at some point the penny has to drop. And my issue, one of the biggest issues with Arsenal is the fact that we recognize issues and try to fix them 2 years too late. Or 3 years too late. Happened with Wenger, happened with positions in the team, happened in the hierarchy, happens everywhere. And that for me is the biggest annoyance, because how long did it took us to replace properly, for example, Patrick Vieira, right? And get players like that. We Aubameyang left 3.5 years ago, we still haven't addressed the situation. And it's always like that, it's always too long, and by the time we fix one position, another one is screwed up. By the time we fix that, midfield is screwed up. By the time we fix midfield, attack again gets screwed up. And it's always ring around the rosy, and it's never ending story. Man just retired the club. It's got to the point where I'll have to see it to believe it. Yeah, at the end of the day, yeah. But as well, that's the biggest thing. As much as I want Gyökeres, and I think Sesko, if we sign Sesko, I will be a bit pissed off. I'm not gonna lie. At the end of the day, I will have to see it to believe it. We'll have to see what he does in the team. Of course. I would have Osimhen, but asking ridiculous. But exactly, that's the biggest thing, especially if Saka is gonna get about 300 now. And that's gonna be he has to be the highest paid player no matter how you look at it, in my opinion. Yeah, big up to you. Yeah, to be honest, yeah, 7 years since 2019. Kinda can say that as well. To be honest, under Emery at least attack was banging. Midfield defense was a bit shaky with Mustafi, Socrates and all these guys, but attack at least was banging. Spurs with Kane injured made UCL final, we went even top 10. Yeah, good times, good times. If Arteta gets top 4 or 5, I'm sure he's staying. But don't settle anything less than the first place. Don't settle for second. Reach for the greatness and all this stuff. But if Arteta gets 4th or 5th, oh, it's okay, he can stay. It's just stupid as hell. Yeah, it looks like Osimhen thinks like that. Today in 2018 is when Emery signed, should kept him by... Emery's... I don't want to talk about Emery too much, but one biggest issue with Emery is he never got the backing. He never got the backing, so at the end of the day it was never going to work. Because Arsenal didn't give him the backing, they have given Arteta and time and patience and all this stuff. And to add on top of that, the fan base never gave him the patience. Because the ones that were Wenger-ins still, they were never going to accept Unai Emery. Ever. So that already meant that about 40 to 50% of the fan base were on his case since day one. They didn't even give him time as well. And it all basically piled up together, and it was insane. It genuinely was insane. Oh, but we faced like 32 shots against Watford. We didn't lose the game, by the way. 32 shots against Watford. But when we faced 26 shots against Leeds under Mikel Arteta, everything was fine and dandy. And 24 against, I don't remember, Brighton or whoever it was, everything was fine and dandy. But as soon as we faced 28 against Watford, we are done and dusted. Like, yeah. I thought total collapse meant outside of UCL when I could see him getting sacked. The issue is there are too many Champions League places now. So he's gonna have an excuses until we finish 6th or 7th. And that doesn't include even if one of the teams wins Europa League or one of the teams wins FA Cup, that means an extra place even. So there could be circumstance when top 7 gets somehow into the Champions League or top 6. So by that logic, we might never get rid of him, by the way. As long as he gets some money and he can kind of add some players and we can consistently get that top 4, top 5, top 6 places. Emery come back. 19 was 6 years ago. Feels so... Yeah, that is the biggest thing. That's why I go back and tell these things sometimes. If you sit down and look back at time, if you are, for example, 20 years old at the moment, and you started supporting Arsenal when you were 12, 13, right? You have been 7 years an Arsenal fan. So you only have seen Emery, Ljungberg as intern, and Mikel Arteta. You never have seen Wenger, even for one season. You haven't never seen Wenger glory days or anything. You haven't seen us win Premier League, do cup doubles, and all this stuff. You have never seen that. For some people, playing Real Madrid was the biggest thing since sliced bread. But let's not forget, we already have played against Real Madrid. We beat them at Bernabeu as well, thanks to Titi. And everything. They haven't experienced the pain and everything. Yeah, true. And alright, he should have the backing. Yeah, that for me is the biggest issue, because I actually like Emery. That's the biggest thing. I like Emery. I wouldn't have mind him staying, provided that he gets the support, the backing, everything. 2018 we should have won EFL and FA Cups. True. But to be honest, think about this. The year we signed Emery, Ancelotti was available, and I think Nagelsmann as well, if I'm not mistaken. The time we signed Mikel Arteta, Ancelotti was available as well, and some other managers, big time managers. So in what case we didn't sign them? That's the weird thing. Why the fact didn't we sign some defenders and good midfielder? Why the only team not winning 10 plus trophies these past years? It's actually nuts. We've seen things that they haven't seen, and it's sad. Exactly, and I think that basically stems from everything. That's why the standards for this club have fallen drastically. Because I remember, genuinely, we go into the game, we lose to like Birmingham or West Brom or something like that, and it feels like I've been genuinely stabbed in the back. Right? These days we lose a random game against Brighton or Everton or Bournemouth. Everyone's hey hoo half and half scarves. Oh, take a picture. I'm at my second home and all this stuff. Nobody cares. Growing up as a teenager, enduring our longest modern trophy drought. Oh, Wenger's trophy drought. We are halfway through it, by the way. More than halfway through it by now with Mikel Arteta. Well as hell, but at least I got to see the Lair Pound for Glory days. Exactly. The longest one the latest one, let's be real, is Wenger with 9 years. Mikel Arteta is halfway past it already. It's not looking too good, is it? And by that time, Spurs have won the league. Europa League. Man, why the hell we stuck with at 49 trophies? Man, we should have had 50 plus. Yeah, to be honest, by this time we should have won. Since the last time we won Premier League in 2004, we should have won the league 3 more times. At least, if not 4. We should have won FA Cup, I think, 2-3 more times. And Carabao Cup 1 more time. And then if you think we could have... Champions League, we got robbed. Remember those games against Barcelona and everything. If you think about it that way, we should have had about 15 trophies still to our name. Something like that. But I think that golden invincible trophy comes with a curse. We are not meant to win anything. Big up Kennedy. Hope you're doing well today. Arsenal's problem is Arteta. That guy should be sacked, doing unnecessary signings every summer, bringing average players at Arsenal. Facts. Big up to you. Big up to you. Exactly. We need a striker, we sign another left back. We need a left winger, we sign a center back. Oh, we need maybe a backup for Bukayo Saka. You know who we gonna sign? You know? We're gonna sign Fabio Vieira. And it goes in a circle all the time. I remember back in 2011, Spuds fans used to constantly banter us about the last time Arsenal won a trophy. We've gone back to 2000. Yeah, we have. Napoli 1-0. They have scored? Really? Ooh, 1-0. Como got a red card. Well, Inter should be winning this game quite easily. Pepe Reina, the goalkeeper, got a red card. Holy crap. Isn't this his last game of his career as well? Isn't Pepe Reina retiring, by the way? As well after this season, I read something about it. That's kind of nuts. Oh, England 2-2. Who scored? Gomez scored again. Gomez scored again from Ngumoa's assist. Interesting that Max Dauman hasn't scored or done anything. Jack Porter is not doing too hot. He has conceded 2 goals. But hey, it is what it is. It is what it is. Anyways, let's get this picture off the screen because it's getting out of hand already. Well, we return to Liverpool. And this is genuinely not a good look, by the way. Spurs have won now a trophy, 2 days, yeah. Spurs have won more European trophies than Arsenal. That's what's insane, even more. Can't believe we have got to this point. Yeah, it is. 32 years without Carabao Cup, 31 years without Europe. Well, I cannot say even Europe because we have never won Champions League and European trophy in general, let's just put it that way. 21 years without Premier League and 5 years without FA Cup. And it's insane. About 13-14 teams from England have won trophies since Mikel Arteta last time won, by the way. A trophy. It is a disgrace. Newcastle, yeah. Who no one thought. Yeah, and Crystal Palace, first trophy in 70 odd years. We have Havertz and probably Arteta views him as a... To be honest, when Arteta signed Kai Havertz in an interview, when he just signed him, said, I have signed Kai Havertz to be a midfielder. Remember that? How for the first half of the season, he played him as a midfielder and it didn't work out whatsoever. Then he threw him up at striker and it somehow worked, right? He hit a massive purple patch, goals and everything, it kind of worked. And then for the one game he needed him to be at striker, we put him in the 8 and we lost that game. And that was the infamous game against Villa. So that everything has gone well. Arteta said he signed him as a midfielder, yet at the end of the day he plays him as a striker. He signed Merino to be a midfielder, he plays him as a striker. Internal solutions, guys. We would be top 4 in Prem, have bitched out around every... West Ham, who are absolutely... Yeah, West Ham are bantering us. Fulham is not in the cakewalk anymore as well. Same goes for Everton, same goes for Bournemouth. Liverpool, don't fuck up, do not fuck up. Liverpool are on point. And Arsenal fans mocked Kane for celebrating Bundesliga, dude. Exactly. The sad part was when Spurs won the trophy, then they won Europa League. Big, insane amount of Arsenal fans were not hurt, were not pissed off, were not annoyed with the club that we are in this situation. But they were bantering Manchester United. They were bantering Manchester United about losing. About losing unanimously in a final with no contest, no nothing. They were not hurt. They were not annoyed. The fact that Arsenal have no trophy, Spurs are having a trophy, they're gonna have a parade and everything. They were more concerned about bantering Manchester United. That just shows the levels of this fan base currently. They're more concerned about other teams. And how comes these guys, these top gooners, and everyone else, keep other clubs to higher standard than they're holding Arsenal themselves? It makes no sense. And then you have a guy on TikTok, by the way, if you haven't seen, singing about wanting to have Mikel Arteta's babies. Seriously. There is a guy on TikTok who openly sings about wanting to have Mikel Arteta's babies. Oh man, we are doomed, aren't we? We are starving and thirsty out there, and that's an understatement and a half, even if you think about it. And bro hates for no reason. McTominay found happiness after leaving United. Yeah, same goes for United, and the same part goes for Arsenal. Players that leave United and Arsenal win trophies in recent times. Well, United can even say that. United have been to 3 finals in 3 years and won 2. They have been to 4 finals in 3 years and have won 2 of those. Under Ten Hag, obviously, but hey, justice for the egghead, you know. But it's actually kind of nuts. Nwaneri is ours and ours only, yeah. But Nwaneri still hasn't signed a new deal, and his agents have big issues and concerns about his future at Arsenal, given the playtime and how Mikel Arteta has treated him this year. Given the injuries that were to Saka, that were to Odegaard, he had massive chances to play a lot of minutes there, and he didn't. Let's be real. And as soon as Saka came back, he hasn't seen the pitch pretty much at all. Let's be honest ourselves. He's getting microwave minutes. And now it has come to a point where we need to give Nwaneri a new deal. He will go from about 3,000 a week to about 50,000-60,000 a week most likely. And they have doubts, and rightly so, to be honest. And if he goes to Liverpool, let's be real, they gonna make him one of the biggest stars of the Premier League. I have no trouble and shadow of doubt about that. If he goes to Borussia Dortmund or Leipzig, they will make him one of the biggest stars of Bundesliga and everything. So it's a big worry right now. Under Mikel Arteta, these stars are treated like trash. These young talents are treated like trash, let's be real. I knew every time they're in a bad spot, they mock us to make them look good. I always go by this. And listen to me carefully. Because you do this a lot. Specifically you, Marlon. You do this a lot. Why you are doing things to somebody else if you wouldn't like those things be done to yourself? You do this a lot, by the way. Well, they can't mock us now. They can't show Phil as bum. They are not. They have won more than us in the last 5 years. Leave Arsenal alone. Don't bring up Arsenal and you won't get smacked. Dude, don't do this. Don't do this. Big up Ashu. Big up, hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing well today. But yeah, the fact that Liverpool are now circling like sharks around Ethan Nwaneri is a big worry. Mikel Arteta has massively mistreated this guy in the recent times. And yeah, it's not looking good, is it? It's not looking too good, is it? In other news, and this is something I assume Marlon will love because he loves Diomande. But yeah, Arsenal are interested in contracting with Usman Diomande and are considering signing him this summer window. There is a... I get what you mean, the profile picture. I know. But yeah, Arsenal apparently are interested in Diomande. Arsenal have been interested in Diomande for a time now as well. I think it's been 2 years ago or last year, in the last summer, we were interested in him. And the biggest thing is, he is a right-sided center back, arguably, if you think about it. Which means, are Arsenal slowly starting to prepare for Saliba to leave or Gabriel to leave or something? Because Diomande, no matter how you look at this, doesn't strike me like a player who should be holding bench expeditiously. Let's just put it that way. So, I don't know. I would take him. I'm not gonna lie, I would take him. I would take Diomande. How much is the big question? Big Diomande, the pocket man. Yeah, he got spun by Arsenal when we played against them. Then again, he did over on Man City, so it's interesting. You want Sesko? You're happy about Sesko? Let's not make it personal. People's profile pictures are their own choice, right? Let's be real. So it is what it is. Don't do this now. It's not the place, not the time, no nothing. Marlon, be respectful, please. But yeah, Diomande to Arsenal, I would be happy about that signing. Even as a backup, maybe long term to being a starter, I can see that. Obviously, it comes together with the fact that Arsenal are still interested in Victor Gyökeres. However, based on latest Sesko talks, I wouldn't be so goddamn sure. Winger news. Winger news. Obviously, Arsenal have been linked with multiple wingers over time with Nico Williams and all these players, right? And Arsenal currently are still in the market. And they're quite specifically from wingers, and talks with agents and clubs are in full swing. Andrea Berta is swinging for the fences quite heavily, by the way. From the reports that are coming out on multiple occasions, right? Quite often and every day, pretty much. They all are talking about that Andrea Berta is talking to about 20 people a day. He has about 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, even 10 strikers being contacted, lined up. Same goes for wingers, midfielders, defenders. He's doing a lot. So that is the big question. That is the big question. I don't know English language. Well, you wrote that sentence correctly, so you must know something in English. It's not that bad, is it? Not that bad at all. Nico Williams, hell no. Exactly. But Arsenal apparently are still in for Rodrygo. They're still very interested. The question is, what will Rodrygo do? Because once Xabi Alonso moves to Real Madrid fully, they will hold talks. They will sit down and discuss these things. and that will ultimately determine whether Rodrygo is gonna leave or not. The biggest thing about this is, though, Rodrygo is very adamant that he wants to stay and fight for his place. However, there are some suggestions from Marca, Real Madrid page, pretty much, let's be real, the fact that if Rodrygo is leaving, they're gonna sign Nico Williams, so that could give us a potential chance. And of course, the other one is Ademola Lookman. It's also being a topic due to his versatility. Can play left wing, can play right wing, can play striker if you need to lead desperately. And yeah, Andrea Berta is swinging for the fences, holding insane amount of people and agents per day. So it looks like it's actually taking some nice turns. Andrea Berta, at least, has a pull. He has contacts. He knows people. That is the best part about sporting director Andrea Berta. One of the best things currently. Because Edu genuinely had nobody. He got and basically dug out Chelsea's trash cans, Man City's trash cans, every other team's trash cans. So at least Andrea Berta has connections. Plus Chelsea want him. Don't ever buy players Chelsea want. It ends bad. Well, depends. If Chelsea would want, at this right stage, right now, if Chelsea would want Dani Olmo, you would not take him at Arsenal? Let's just put it that way. You would. If they would want someone like, just thinking, Ederson from Atalanta, you would. So it goes both ways. But Rodrygo definitely would take. Oh, I'm not talking about Williams, because Williams' talks have gone quite dead silent currently. So we mostly talk about Rodrygo and Lookman currently. Clutch Rodrygo. If we count by Lookman, try Due, Gittens, bring some goals, scoring. I'm not gonna lie, I much rather sign Mitoma than Gittens. I'm just putting it out there right now. Big up BBK Sports, big up. Hope you're doing well today. If you haven't already, go subscribe to BBK Sports. He covers what it feels like every sport on the planet: football, basketball, I think UFC as well, if I'm not mistaken, everything. Berta is king, but Arteta is... That is the biggest worry. That is the biggest worry still. Yeah, if you haven't already, people, hit the likes and subscribe if you're new around here. Road to 600 and then to 1k is going strong. Big up Kwame. Big up. Hope you're doing well today, my bro. Hope everything is fine. Oh, big up Midas. Big up Midas Touch. Hope you're doing well. Arsenal fans, don't be surprised if Arsenal speaks with both Gyökeres and Sesko, but end up with signing Vlahovic. That's how much Arsenal... That is the biggest thing. That is the biggest thing with Arsenal. They can... This is the same as Arsenal talk to signing Karim Benzema and we sign Maroun Shamach at the end of the day, or Yaya Sanogo. Arsenal are in talks to sign world-class left winger and we sign Reyo Miyachi or Takuma Asano at the end of the day. And it's all this stuff. So that is the only PTSD. Then again, I have more faith in Berta and Arteta that they're don't gonna make these stupid decisions, even though Arteta's track record of signing these players is not the greatest. Let's just put it that way. At the same time, it still could happen. I'm not gonna lie. If we sign Vlahovic, we might as well delete the club. I'd much rather have Muriqi from Mallorca, Budimir from Osasuna, retired Quagliarella, who used to play for Sampdoria, retired Miroslav Klose and players like that instead of Vlahovic. I'm not gonna lie. I would take Olmo, but the injuries obviously don't. Mitoma over the best young left winger. Yeah, I would. Yeah, I would. Next season, Arteta better deliver. I think this could be the last season for Arteta. If he doesn't deliver, he's getting genuinely removed from the club quicker than the cork leaves the champagne bottle. He's just gonna be... And Arteta is out. Retired Aguero better than... There's no shadow of a doubt. Aguero has more skill in one leg than Vlahovic has in his whole 6'3" body. Arteta hasn't been good enough signing players. So that's an understatement and a half, let's be real. Arteta has made 32 or 31 signings, and maybe a handful of them have been hits. Think about it. Who is our Mr. Clutch and Impact player? We haven't had one since Alexis Sanchez, let's be real. We haven't had one since Alexis Sanchez. I would say Rodrygo could be that if we signed him. Rodrygo could be that if we signed him. Some other news from The Athletic came out today. Arsenal presented a very strong and financial offer on and broad pitch to Dean Housen that demonstrated their determination to signing him. Mikel Arteta and Andrea Berta assured him of plenty of game time, something other competing clubs questioned. Basically, obviously, Housen is signing for Real Madrid. He's a center back from Bournemouth, 50 million release clause and all this stuff. Right? And the biggest thing is, if I read this, right, it really begs me to massive questions because Mikel Arteta and Andrea Berta assured him plenty of game time. Which is very weird because Arteta never changes defenders in the first place. Pretty much, the center backs. We have arguably top 3, top 2 center back pairing in the world without shadow of a doubt. Yes, we don't have trophies, but ability wise, don't bullshit yourself. Gabriel and Saliba. And they never get split up. So where is he getting all these games for those for Housen if he doesn't get past the 4th round in the FA Cup? At best, if he gets lucky, he gets to semi-finals of the Carabao Cup, and that's about it. Champions League, some games he could play, or Premier League, some games. So where does he find the game time to get him? That for me is the biggest question of them all. And then again, it raises the question for last summer. Because reason why we didn't sign Sesko, right, last summer, was because Mikel Arteta said Sesko is going to be a backup to Kai Havertz. And we didn't have strikers then because Jesus was still injured and Nketiah got sold. And he said that he's gonna be a backup for Kai Havertz. So you want to tell me that Housen would get more game time and try to basically compete with a top 2 center-back pairing in the world, yet Sesko last year couldn't have thrown a challenge to Kai Havertz. Yet this year, when he costs 30 million more expensive than last year, you are ready to sign him as your number 1 option. Something doesn't add up here, does it? It makes kinda zero sense to some extent. You're ready to give Housen game minutes over Saliba in certain games, yet you were not ready to give Sesko big minutes over Kai Havertz at striker. It just doesn't add up, if you ask me. It genuinely doesn't add up. But hey, I guess that's just me, right? That is just me. Well, this is what Arsenal are right now. A meme and a half at the end of the day. This is Arsenal right now. Rice, Gabriel Smith, Real Madrid want him, we don't have a chance. Yeah, true. Big up Gavin. Big up Gavin. Hope you're doing well today. If we still sign Sesko, I don't know what was the point of Berta. True, that is the biggest thing. We need technically 2 strikers. In an ideal scenario, we sign a win-now goal-scoring machine, which should be Victor Gyökeres. I can see arguments why we are signing Sesko, obviously. I can see the arguments. Don't kid me. I don't think Šeško is so shit that he's the biggest bum on this planet Earth, as people make it out to be. At the same time, he is more for the future. If we were signing Sesko and Gyökeres, I would be okay with that. Signing Sesko alone raises more questions than gives answers, if you get what I mean. But there is no argument that he actually could do well. The biggest thing about Sesko is though, in air, for headers, he's much better than Gyökeres, because from what I have seen Gyökeres in fighting for crosses, he is not the greatest. He wins them, but he just gets disoriented quite easily. Sesko somehow manages to do these things. Obviously, Sesko is 2-footed, he scores bangers, he has strong foot, but he is still very raw. You can see that in his game, that he has tunnel vision, he makes rash decisions. If he decides to shoot, he's gonna shoot. Nobody's gonna stop him, let's be real. That is one of the worst things. He doesn't have great passing on him, so he cannot distribute the ball quite properly. At the same time, he can finish with both feet. He's as fast as a locomotive, let's be real. And he can finish, and given that we tend to basically start crossing the ball when we are out of options in the attack, it actually could work. I can see it working. At the same time, Sesko is by 15 or 20 million more expensive than Gyökeres. Go figure. Genuinely go figure. I can see arguments pro and con to both sides. And obviously I would take Gyökeres. I will be annoyed if we sign Sesko. At the same time, we'll have to wait and see. Not even rotates them, you realize Barca uses academy players sometimes over the first team. Yeah, and when you have seen Arsenal do that? When have you seen Mikel Arteta drop Gabriel or Saliba when they are fully fit for for Maldini? When have you seen that? Never. Victor Gyökeres can lead. I strongly believe so. I strongly and utterly believe so. True, but we'll meet his agenda. Exactly, it meets the agenda. It doesn't mean everything. I respect Havertz a bit, but what for Sesko slams Havertz, Sesko can... Yeah, that's the biggest thing. Sesko is better than Havertz. He was already last year. There was no argument about that. But because Havertz had a purple patch in the second part of the season, all of a sudden we don't need a striker. Sesko needs to be a backup. Like, come on, man. Like, I could accept signing Sesko with open arms to some extent, much more easily if we signed him 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. I would be cool. At the moment, it's a bit, I'm not gonna lie, it's like balancing on the edge of the blade, let's just put it that way. Hausenberg and Saliba low key though. Could be, potentially, we'll see. Meme FC, exactly. Spot on, exactly. BBK Sports, he spits facts all the time. If we sign Sesko, what's the point of Berta? But if we sign only Sesko, we need another striker. That is the biggest issue there. Every social media site I see an Arsenal name and a joke. Yeah, it is like that. Big up Hyper Protagonist. Big up, hope you're doing well today, my bro. We have no playmaker in our midfield. We might have Zubimendi though. Like, we need midfielders as well. Creative midfielders, to matter of fact. And that is also not... We don't have that who holds the ball, controls the tempo and all this stuff. Zubimendi can do that. But if he doesn't play instead of Partey or instead of Rice, it's never gonna work. Unless he drops Odegaard. I'm not so sure. And a winger that can break a defense down little by little and break low blocks. I'm not gonna lie, by the way. Sesko in low blocks, against low blocks, sorry, is more useful than Gyökeres. Just saying this right now. Based on what I have seen at least. I know it's gonna rub people the wrong way to some extent, pause. But that's how I see it. And third defender shoot inside the box, score 20 plus. Yeah. Our midfield has no role meaning. Yeah, our midfield is just there for the sake of being. There's a very big saying in my country, which goes, show me your midfield, and I will tell you what your team is all about. And if you look at Arsenal's midfield, oh dear lord. And I'm not talking about just Odegaard there. Just AI passing and shooting, yeah. It's like, well, in FIFA there's more creativity, but it's just sideways, backwards, forwards, no imagination. Gyökeres can even win the Golden Boot award if he plays for them. There is a possibility, with the amount of chances we create, and if he can finish those chances to regular basis, he would be about 25-30 goals. Because think about it, Havertz had 9 goals when in early February he got injured. Based on the chances he missed from like 2 yards out, 5-6 yards out, open net chances and everything, this season before he got injured, he should not be on 9 goals. He should be on about 20 plus goals. But since he's not clinical and he cannot finish on consistent basis, here we are. Big up Midas, do you see situation where Arsenal sign both Sesko and Gyökeres? Only if we get rid of Jesus. Maybe in that scenario. Otherwise I don't. I still think Arteta views Havertz as a striker, which means we're gonna sign only one. If we got rid of Havertz and Jesus, then I can see that. However, there's a big thing. If Gyökeres, for example, stays for 1 more year at Sporting and nobody buys him for some weird goddamn reason, I can see us signing him next summer as well. We can see us getting us both over 2 windows. In 1 window, I'm not too sure. Because Arsenal need way too much players way too many players, and way too specific players in specific positions to afford to sign only 2 strikers. Nobody can predict the game and see the game and know how to control it. We don't have that. No. Nobody that can control. Yeah. No sugar. Show me your midfield and I will tell you what your team is all about. That is one of that's what I grew up on. Basically, that was one of the most legendary sports commentators in my country's history that said that when my country national team was playing a friendly game against Brazil in 1990s, late 1990s it was, I think, or early 2000s. Early 2000s, very early 2000s. Let me check this. Yeah, see, 1999 in Brazil, we played and lost 3-0. We lost 3-0. That was one of the first games of football I ever watched, by the way. And look at the starting 11 for Brazil. Ronaldinho, Ronaldo, Alex, Roberto, Vampeta, Emerson, Roberto Carlos, Odvan, Zago, Cafu, and Dida. And they subbed on... no one, by the way. We subbed on a lot of players. But yeah, that was one of the first games. And the commentator said in that game, show me your midfield and I will show you what your team is all about. Let's be real. We didn't have a bad midfield at the time, by the way. That was the team that got us also into first time ever in country's history in Euro 2004 final in Portugal. Right? First and only time. But yeah, we played Brazil and he said it, and it genuinely, I was 6 years old then, and it has stuck with me till this day, basically. And our wingers are more like attacking wingbacks. We are wingbacks, we don't have wingers, we have wingbacks. Like, Rodrygo definitely won't sign for Arteta if he makes him play like left wingback, will he? Doesn't even see a striker. That's the biggest thing. He doesn't see a striker. He sees it as false 9 position. Because I have seen today Arsenal being linked with Julian Alvarez from Atletico Madrid as well. About 80 something million. Which is kind of nuts if you ask me. But hey, it is what it is. As fans, we tired them not born. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? Teta plays 6-5-0. He plays 5-5-0 because the 6th one should be the goalkeeper. Left wing, yeah, it's always like that. We always have the wingbacks, the wingers at wingback. But yeah, besides that, nothing more to talk about. However, we're gonna check what other news Arsenal accounts are putting out. Maybe there is something to it. Gabriel, Ayto is leaving. We talked about that. Arsenal in concrete negotiations. Dusan Vlahovic wants to relaunch his career in Premier League. Vlahovic is on Arsenal's shortlist, allegedly. He would immediately pack his bags and make himself available to Mikel Arteta. Interesting how tables have turned. He laughed at us and left us on WhatsApp messages on red 2.5 years ago. Now all of a sudden, he's twerking like Kiwior's missus for the camera to sign for one of the clubs in Premier League. Interesting, isn't it? About 45 million pounds as well. Interesting how world works in mysterious ways. Very, very, very interesting. Oh, Rosicki. Oh, on this day, Arsenal signed Thomas Rosicki for 6.8 million. Given how Rosicki played and what he was, oh my god, does that seem hella cheap, doesn't it? First signing since leaving Highbury. Man, I wish we never left Highbury. It feels like Arsenal lost their soul and being since we left Highbury. Never have achieved the same atmosphere, same greatness, same everything, same emotions, no nothing from those days. Let's be real. Kinda annoying and kinda painful. Urian Timber is on crutches. This is going well, isn't it? Urian Timber on crutches. Not looking good, is it? Arteta runs players into the ground, yeah. When we have no attack outlet anyways. Bro thinks he's prime R9 or something. He ain't the best striker in his own club. Disgraceful, not even scoring. But yeah, Timber on crutches. Painful sight, isn't it? Painful sight, to say the least. Painful sight, I'm not gonna lie. Painful, painful. What else is happening in footballing world as we are slowly wrapping things up, by the way? Arteta, your manager, did this. Yeah, he is at fault. I'm not gonna lie, he is at fault because of this. By the way, 2-0 Inter, 2-0 Napoli. England under 17s are losing to England under Italy under 17s 4-2, by the way. Max Dauman is playing in that game. He hasn't done anything, by the way. Anthony has scored from Isco's assist, dude. They are preparing for Europa League final like no tomorrow, by the way. By the way, how are the standings looking? They're gonna get Europa League if they win this game. They have guaranteed Europa League no matter what. Interesting, interesting, very interesting. But Anthony has caught life in the second in Real Betis, by the way. De Vrij and Correa scored from Taremi's assist. And for Napoli, I would assume Lukaku and McTominay. Yep, McTominay has scored and Lukaku has scored. It's kind of nuts when you think about it. McTominay looks like prime, I don't know what, Lothar Matthäus at Inter Milan under Conte. That's how nuts it is. Nichols, you better start watching Prime Cafu right now, and we need Big up Midas. Please, are we linked to any creative midfielders? No, we're not. We're not. We are not. I think Arteta's creative midfield counts as signing Zubimendi. That's about it. Because we are not linked with any creative midfielders as of yet. Only forwards or defenders. No midfielders, which is kinda awful. Yeah, we have Dauman and Nwaneri. There is some talks about Nwaneri potentially leaving if he doesn't sign a new deal. Liverpool want him, which is kind of pissing me off already. But knowing how Arteta has treated Nwaneri and our youth this year, right? And in general, our youngsters promoted ones, wouldn't put too many hopes on Dauman as well. Because he could ruin them as well. Saka and Rice are only creators. Rice doesn't even create that much, does he? He just whips in corners. From open play, he doesn't create much. Saka does it because he's just that good. No matter what you throw at him, he actually can create. Liverpool have now formally spoke to Bayer Leverkusen about their desire to sign Wirtz. Modric retired today. Announcement, which is kind of painful. I'm not gonna lie. Oh, Nottingham Forest have banned Gary Neville from their stadium. Big up Nottingham Forest. United are keeping up appearances and still being a disgrace. They're gonna lay off 200 more work office people. Chelsea star Enzo Fernandez has been spotted house hunting in Madrid. Oh, yeah, Real Madrid want Enzo Fernandez, by the way. That's just a random one. Millwall is gonna get by Saudi potentially. Tottenham are potentially getting Thomas Frank if they sack Ange Postecoglou. Still pisses me off. United are selling for 50 to 55 million Asmus Højlund. And Chelsea won João Pedro for 60 million. Oh, go buy them. Go buy him. Just go and buy him. Leave us alone. As long as it doesn't concern me, doesn't concern Arsenal, and doesn't make me feel pissed off, go and sign whoever you want. But yeah, it's kind of insane when you sit here and think about certain things. Spurs have won a trophy, Arsenal are still trophyless, we need about 7-8 players to sign, we're gonna lose about 4 players. It's not looking good, is it? Arteta is still here, and who we gonna sign? Nobody knows. Still, yes, we have more concrete links with Sesko, but last year it was the same and we signed nobody. So that is the biggest worry of them all. But yeah, I think on that note, it looks like we have covered everything for today. Tomorrow we're gonna talk about obviously transfers, some more news. We're gonna look at Mikel Arteta's circus conference that he did, because I have read it, I have heard it in audio as well. It's genuinely a laughable performance, so we're gonna look at that tomorrow. Join if you want to have some laughs, some waffles, some pancakes. Don't forget to get some syrup to go with that and hot cocoa. But yeah, for today, I think I'm gonna head out. So for today, thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. Road to 600, and of course 1K gang is going strong. Like the stream if you haven't already. Go check out my YouTube shorts. Today I uploaded 2 YouTube shorts, so if you haven't, go check them out. And this week who you gonna win Champions League, we gonna address this the closer it's gonna come, because we have a long time to still think and see about this. But yeah, we're gonna talk about it. Don't worry, Marlon, we're gonna talk about it a bit later on. in next week. But yeah, for today I'm gonna head out. So have a nice evening, have a nice day, enjoy your day. Tomorrow, have a nice weekend, try to relax, and hopefully Arsenal also doesn't ruin our day. And enjoy football, because this is the last football we're gonna get for the whole summer pretty much. So have fun, enjoy your days, and take care.